Good morning. I'd like to welcome everyone to the August 5th, 2025 Morning Board of Supervisors meeting. Today we have Mr. Ari Dean with us, who is chaplain of Company Number 1, the VFW, and the Midday Lions Club to offer an invocation. Would everyone please stand that's willing and able?
Almighty God, we thank you for this beautiful morning that you give us. Father, we thank you for this board that performs admirably. We know that they have difficulties and a lot of things that they have to make decisions. We want you to be with them, guide them, give them the knowledge. Father, again, we want to thank you for each and every employee that works for the county of Culpeper. Now, as we begin to start a new year in school, we ask you to bless all of the teachers, everyone that has anything to do with the school system. We ask all these things in your holy and precious name. Amen.
Now officially call the meeting to order, and I would ask Supervisor Galgino to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have an agenda before us. Are there any additions or deletions? Hearing none, we will move forward as presented. Our first item of business is the consent agenda, and I would ask our county administrator, Mr. McLaren, to please read that into the record.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, members of the board. We do have a very lengthy consent agenda. So this will take a couple minutes. So they're on board docs as well if you want to follow along. There's several items related mostly to the budget. Under 2.02, under the consent agenda, letter A, the board will consider approval of the June 3rd, 2025 AM and PM meeting minutes. Under letter B, the board will consider acceptance of a grant and approval of a budget amendment for the Parks and Recreation Department for funding received in the amount of $2,500. Under letter C, the board will consider acceptance of a donation and a budget amendment for the Animal Services Department in the amount of $1,000 to be used for vet services. Letter D, the board will consider accepting two donations totaling $8,000 for the Sheriff's Office and consider a budget amendment for the funds. Under letter E, the board will consider acceptance and appropriation of a grant in the amount of $287,436 for a cooperative partnership with RRCSB from the Opioid Abatement Authority. Under letter F, the board will consider acceptance of a grant and appropriation of the funds received for the Sheriff's Office from the Virginia Department of Criminal Justice. Under letter G, the board will consider acceptance and appropriation of a grant in the amount of $398,000, 926.32 from the Virginia Department of Emergency Management. Under letter H, the Board of Supervisors will consider the attached revised resolution for the possible relief percentage reduction related to the personal property tax bills for fiscal year 26, calendar year billing 2025. Under letter I, the board will consider accepting a donation from the Sheriff's Office. Jonathan Kearns has donated a retriever, Luna. She is from Caledon Retrievers in Stafford, Virginia, is valued at $1,800. This will be a narcotics K9 for the Sheriff's Office. Under letter J, the board will consider a budget amendment for the Constitutional Officers and General Registrar's Office for additional state funds for bonuses paid in July of 2025. Under letter K, the board will consider a budget amendment for both the Circuit Court Clerk and the Commonwealth Attorney's Office for additional state compensation board funding received. Under letter L, the board will consider a budget amendment for funds received in the amount of $6,000 for the Sheriff's Office. And under letter M, the board will consider acceptance of a grant in the amount of $204,993 for the Recovery Court.
Thank you, Mr. McLaren. Is there any discussion or questions? Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Next item of business is General 3.0, General County Business. We have Ms. Ellen Phipps with us today, who is Executive Director of Aging Together. Ms. Phipps, would you like to come up and speak to the board? Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the board for this opportunity. I think I'm a little clicker challenged, but maybe I can do this. So just, I just have a few slides, just going to give everybody an update on what's going on with Aging Together, and just hearing all of that about the Sheriff's Department inclusive is just to say that Aging Together just recently was able to award the Sheriff's Department and Culpeper with $5,000 towards the Project Lifesaver to help people who wander and become lost because of dementia. So that's just one of the updates I was going to talk about today. But I guess those slides are coming up. Oh, yes. All right. Let's see. In the slide mode. Here we go. Okay. It's coming. I don't have a cheat sheet, so I hope it's going to come up. If not, Aging Together, I can tell you we cover our 5 counties of Culpeper, Madison, Orange, Rappahannock, and Fauquier counties. Of course, we are really very central because, here we go. Culpeper is really our central county, so a lot of the new initiatives and pilots that we actually do here in Culpeper. Our mission is through partnerships to connect people to communities and to resources to improve quality of life as we age. And what I like to say is, if you ask older adults how would they like to age, almost everybody, 95%, say, we want to stay in our own homes for as long as possible, right? And I think that's our wish. All of us have that wish. And so Aging Together really helps people by connecting them to important resources to be able to stay at home for as long as possible as they age. I just told you about our counties that we cover, so there they are. So a lot of what we're doing now, and part of that Project Lifesaver donation, is part of dementia awareness. And I am so proud of the town of Culpeper because this town responded to our dementia-friendly initiative like crazy. Like, I have tried to do this in other counties before I came into this position, and we did not get nearly the response that we got in Culpeper. And currently in Culpeper alone, we have close to 100 businesses and restaurants that are dementia friendly. We go out, our volunteers go out, and it's about raising awareness of how to be accepting and inclusive of people who might come into your establishment that might be suffering from dementia or some kind of cognitive impairment. And we do have now in our 5-county region, like I said, Culpeper was the pilot, but we now have well over 100 businesses throughout our region who are dementia friendly. We have every year, we have the Dementia Education Conference that we host in Culpeper. We have outgrown Pepper's Grill, and this year we're going to be at Germanna at Daniel Technology Center for our conference, and we're expecting close to 200, if not more than 200 people. So that's very exciting as well. And one of the initiatives that we started in the COVID pandemic was we connected people with dementia with robotic pets, which sounds kind of weird, but they're these pets. You can see there's a picture of a woman there cuddling a pet, but we know that these actually help people with dementia who are socially isolated and feeling alone. And these pets, they move and they make sounds like a real pet. So they're really able to cuddle them and have some, real quality time. And I have seen firsthand how impactful this can be. There we are. Culpeper leads the way. Coming up, in October 14th, it will be the Culpeper annual lifestyle and wellness expos. That's the Art of Aging expos, where we have close to 70 vendors, all to do with services and programs for older adults. We have door prizes. We offer vaccines to people free of charge, and healthcare screenings as well. So it's really a great day. It's a great day for people to come out and socialize. All the senior centers come, and we just have a great time. We're out at the field house. So again, mark your calendars and come out and visit us on October 24th in Culpeper. We also do one in Rappahannock County. Some of you may know Sharon down at Pepperberries. She is the honoree for this year's 5 over 50 for Culpeper event. We're changing it up a little bit. Some of you will be excited to know that we're changing the name to, I'm not supposed to say this yet, but I will tell you, we've had feedback for this for many years, and we are changing to 5 over 65 instead of 5 over 50, because 50 just seems too darn young, right? So we are looking forward. This year, we're going to be at Fauquier Springs on September 18th, and we're combining the 5 over 50 celebration with our annual meeting as well. We are grateful to Culpeper Media for their partnership in our 5 over 50 event. They do all the filming, and then they present a film on that day. If you can join us at Fauquier Springs on September 18th, we'd love to have you there. And basically, the 5 over 50 celebration, what that does is that recognizes the positive contributions that older adults make in their communities. Because a lot of times when we think of older adults, we think frail, we think, helpless. But the reality is that most older adults are making significant contributions to their communities, and we like to highlight that. Might recognize this fellow here with me. This was not this past year, but a year ago, accepting the proclamation for May as being Older Americans Month. And we are grateful for the town of Culpeper for recognizing that every single year. So for the past 3 years, we've actually had all 5 counties on board for the first time. That happened 3 years ago. We've got new updated guide. Most of you know about the regional resource guide for older adults. This includes resources and educational information for older adults in our 5-county region. I brought Kimberly a few guides, so there's some updated ones. If anybody needs more copies, if you're giving them out, we're happy to do that. And this is where you can find us, all the different ways. We have a bulletin that comes out every month with really important information about older adults and upcoming programs, not just from Aging Together, but from all of our partners as well. We're on social media, we're on YouTube, and we have a website. And where does our funding come from? I think most of you know this, but just to say, we are grateful for the funds that we receive from the town of Culpeper each year. We get the majority of our funding. We have gotten from the regional commission. That's been changed. That's going to change this year due to some of the federal cutbacks. But we will still be getting the majority of our funding from the Path Foundation. And there's just to mention those upcoming events. And I would be happy to answer any questions that anybody might have about Aging Together.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
Ellen, thank you for that presentation and for the terrific work. Just to clarify, you gave us 2 dates for the Aging Lifestyle and Wellness Expo. Is it October the 14th or is it the 24th?
Oh, yeah, I was mixing the two. You're right. So it's September 24th in
Gotcha,
Rappahannock, and it's October 14th in Culpeper. Thank you for picking up on that. Yes,
All right,
thanks.
thank you. I plan to attend that. So I just
Yay, yes. So please come on the 14th.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you for the
job
opportunity.
that you do in the service to the community.
Thank you.
Our next item of business is item 3.02, The board will consider ratifying an emergency declaration issued on June 5th, 2025 in response to the critical failure of the county's information technology infrastructure. Our county administrator, Mr. McLaren, will speak to this.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This particular item, 3.02, is in hopes that the board will seek to or approve the attached draft resolution that ratifies the emergency declaration. It is pursuant to the Code of Virginia, Section 44-146.21. You do see two versions posted on board docs. The second attachment is the one that was already approved on the day that we declared the emergency. Since that time, we have learned a lot more. We're still learning as we go today, as of August 5th. This event unfortunately took place on June 5th. It was a critical infrastructure failure to our network. In the meantime, we have been working with our vendor, with our IT folks, with a lot of different various resources to pull out from under this event. And we're stable and moving forward with a new platform to keep county services running. And Mr. Chairman, this highlights different sections. And if you follow the whereas clause, and it's the pleasure of the board, I certainly can read this into the record if you would like to do that. But it is posted there. And then basically, we're still in the emergency declaration officially. And we will be working with VDEM to determine when that date is closed. So,
Thank you, Mr. McLaren. Would anyone like the declaration read into the record? Okay, are there questions?
No, sir, no questions. I'll make a motion that we pass the resolution, the full formal one, with the exception of a minor change under the therefores. Number 1B, it says a formal termination of the emergency was issued by resolution. We have not issued any such termination, so therefore I suggest that we replace it with is. Otherwise, it makes sense. And thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Our next item of business is 3.03. The board will receive an update report on the county's IT network, following along with what we just had.
that's correct, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much. With us this morning, we have our what I would call our recovery director, Mr. Martin, and he's going to share what's been posted on board docs as far as where we've been the past 2 months after this event, and a little bit of where we're going to go as well, at least this morning. Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to take a moment to not only thank Mr. Martin. Hopefully, some of you have met him the past couple of months. He's been around quite a bit. And if it's the pleasure of the board, he will be around for a little bit longer to help us move forward. Posted on there are the steps that we've taken and actions that we hope to take forward moving from this event. I won't go into the details, and Mr. Chairman, I would offer before Mr. Martin begins, if the board would like to discuss things in further detail beyond this morning, that there are some things that are not appropriate, at least in my opinion, for an open session, and perhaps a future closed session, we could do that. With that in mind, I would like for Mr. Martin, Mr. Chairman, to present kind of an update of where we stand.
Great, thank you. Mr. Martin?
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. It's a pleasure to be here and speak with you this morning. We'll reiterate that we'll speak as transparently as possible, but to some extent, when it gets into network infrastructure and critical infrastructure and cybersecurity practices, that would be something that we would need to address in a closed session just to uphold the integrity and best practice of cybersecurity and critical infrastructure and protect the county. So we've been working really diligently looking at both the current state and remediation of the issue that we had on June 5th, as well as looking into the future and in the near term and long term, to make sure that we're approaching everything that we're doing with a really sharp eye to what is cost effective and a good solution for the moment, but also what is going to set the county up and make sure that the network and the infrastructure around it is prepared to grow and move into the future. So some of that has meant slowing down before we're speeding up. So it's kind of, you know, the opposite of what you think when you think technology. You think, you know, go faster and faster. It's really important to take these initial steps that we're doing to slow our roll a little bit, really make sure that we're doing thorough discovery, understanding the needs of the county in the current state and where the board and the county is going in the future, so that we can make sure we're implementing cost-effective solutions that aren't going to have to be reworked over and over again. Much of what we have focused on in the short term after the June 5th incident was ensuring that the network is operating stable and that we're optimizing the systems in place. That has been going exceptionally well, you know, from very minor changes in the background that folks don't notice, but really improves the integrity and reliability of networks and systems. Some are more public facing and do have a bigger impact and might take a small tweak, but has a big positive outcome on the front side. A good example of that would be your GIS site. Just as one of the things that we were working through when we got to that, some minor reconfigurations there. Your GIS website is working much faster now, just with as a forward-facing or public-facing example of some of the work that we're doing, even though it was a small lift to do. One of the most important things that we're concentrating now as the systems have stabilized out is understanding the different technologies that are available, doing really deep research into the different vendors. Of course, if you ever ask a vendor, everybody thinks that they have the absolute best technology, and you should definitely buy that. We believe in understanding what both their solution is going to bring to the county, but also how they plan to service it, and understanding their reputation, any risk that's associated with bringing that equipment in, and what it looks like for the total configuration of the network. We're also ensuring that we're getting together a very structured RFP to look at the new network components that we need to bring in to finish remediation, to ensure that we're both getting the best value and again that long-term picture of what's something we're not going to have to turn around and replace a couple months or years down the road. So once we're finished kind of understanding the engineering of where we need to go with the network, the next steps will be reaching out, doing a formal RFP process, understanding the delivery timelines, installations, and things like that. And then we'll start doing the sourcing and installation of the components of the network to ensure that we never experience what we experienced on June 5th ever again. And then to kind of close out the project work on the remediation portion of it, what we will do is make sure that we also have a roadmap moving forward on how we're going to manage the network, how we're going to have plans year by year to ensure that we're replacing equipment systematically so that we can all budgetarily plan for it and be prepared for the long-term management of the network infrastructure. Welcome to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions?
Yes, you keep mentioning long-term management of the network.
Mm-hmm.
As if it's a local-based network that is housed locally.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
So there's I would say steps to it. Obviously, we see that much of network infrastructure is moving to cloud base. So when I say the management of it long term, there's still a management component, even if it is not in a physical on-prem version of it, and it is cloud-based, there's still a management plan to take into consideration there. So that's what I mean by it. Not necessarily that every component will have to always be on-prem. In fact, for things like disaster recovery, backups, the resiliency of the system, especially when it's a network that is, what government operates off of, there is a lot of benefit to being in cloud-based environments. There's also risks and challenges with that, but it's really, you have to evaluate it, weigh it out, and make an informed decision. But I would agree that, yeah, the on-prem option is not always the right option.
The reason I raised the question the way I did is, as one member of the board, and only one, I will be judging our outcome based upon how modern we are as compared to the best 2 localities in the United States. So that a different bar. None of them are in Virginia, by the way, but Virginia at the state level seems to be open and willing to facilitate it through the work that began or was really accelerated under the Northam administration. So there are, normally that would not be an objective, but perhaps our state of the network as of a couple of months ago gave us an opportunity to really reset, and not reset, change, go to something entirely different. If we do that, that'll be great. If we spend a bunch of money, upgrade it, and become best of class in Virginia, we need a new tech team. All right, thanks.
Yeah, I would agree. There has been a pretty significant change in the Commonwealth for government entities and utilization of cloud platforms and hosting local government in a cloud environment. I know that there is a lot of stigma and feelings that are around cloud offerings. The benefit is that you really do have an infrastructure that's specifically built for government. We've even within the last couple of weeks taken some important steps there to ensure that any cloud offerings that we're considering are going to be hosted in the USGCC, so the U.S. Government Community Cloud that's built for local government. So it's there's the cloud that we all talk about, and we all, even if we try to avoid it, we all have things in a cloud somewhere. But there's public clouds, then there's clouds that are hosted in higher security environments, and that would definitely be the only safe and logical way to consider hosting some components of a network that's as critical as this.
Are you saying that no other locality in the U.S. is using a cloud such as the public components of Azure? Are they all in?
No. There is definitely a mixed bag, because I mean it's ultimately the choice that any locality would make with how they choose to host it. Yeah.
I once again, as one member, I'm comfortable with Azure. I can tell you. Well, I'm not going to tell you publicly. There are components of our infrastructure that are in it that are critical. That has been made. That decision's been made at other levels. The same goes for AWS, GCP, and several others. For this board, perhaps not an open session to discuss the strategy, trade-offs, and risks and opportunities. I want to be extra secure. I want a lot of redundancy. So in other words, I want it to work. On the other hand, if Azure and AWS fail, and I'm talking worldwide, I'm willing to take that risk.
Yes, I would agree. Culpeper is not going to make the newspaper on that particular day.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other questions or comments? Thank you, Mr. Martin.
All right, thank you.
I would like to say, go ahead. I would like to say that on June 5th, when our IT network went down, when it began, I don't think anyone quite realized just how significant this was, but it was a major, major issue. And I would like to compliment our county staff, the sheriff's department, the emergency response team, the people that came from VDEM, Virginia Department of Emergency Management, the resources that pulled together and the professional manner in which they operated. It was a tense time, but it saved this county and it kept things moving forward during this situation. So thank you very much to that team, and I think the board will be putting together a formal recognition of that at a later time.
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
Sure.
One thing that Mr. Martin didn't highlight that we have been successful in the past couple, we have received a state grant that was in your consent agenda item. We rolled through that pretty quickly, but that was a $400,000 grant opportunity to help us in the moment. It's not going to necessarily build the entire future as we move forward, but that has been very helpful, and I wanted to make sure that Captain Deal's sitting back there, but he was a big part of that. Mr. Komar, Director Komar's they were also went down, boots on the ground to be able to make our case and were successful. So that's the type of work that we need to do in the moment, in the balance. But Mr. Chairman, I do hear Supervisor Underwood loud and clear, and I agree that anytime you have something that allows you to take a chance to reset, you need to take that opportunity to look at that. So I would like moving with the board to look at all those options moving forward and present them to the board for consideration. So,
Thank you. Mr. Underwood.
I would say with that is this board, to some significant degree, of course, bears responsibility for what we had as of June. Why? Because it's our staff through the county administrator and county attorney that ultimately is responsible for it. That said, the way that the county administrator and the chair has reacted relative to bringing in the right people, recognizing the seriousness of the problem, and then course correcting as soon as practicable, but doing so in a way that is deliberate, knowing that we're dealing with critical infrastructure. I'm very proud of the board's reaction and staff. So once again, kudos to chair and county administrator relative to helping us with a mess that we bear some responsibility for being in the first place.
Thank you. Any further comments? Okay, we're going to move along. Item 5, new business. The board will consider the appointment of a FOIA officer. Mr. McLaren, would you like to talk to us about that?
Mr. Chairman, posted on board docs is actually a resolution that County Attorney's Office helped us draft and put together. The board had appointed the county attorney as the FOIA officer some time ago. As the board's well aware, we have an interim county attorney. Thank you, Mr. Bennett, for being here this morning and helping us out. In the meantime, as the county moves forward in a direction to find the next county attorney, I think, and this is something that was shared prior to this discussion anyway, we have in the works, as the board may recall, a position, community engagement coordinator, that would be identified as the FOIA officer. I will be working with staff to complete that hire in the near future, but I do think it's important to work with the new county attorney as well before we make that position and move. This is an interim move, this resolution, the way I see it at least, and certainly want to make sure we hear the board loud and clear on their direction as well for this. But for identifying a FOIA officer, I think it would be prudent, at least at this time in the interim, to identify a records manager. Nikki Taylor, she's in the audience. Nikki, if you want to wave. She's an existing county employee, has been with the county for a long time, like myself, and is dedicated, knows our system, and can be trained and get up to date on FOIA as quick as we need her to. This resolution sets the records manager as that FOIA, or identifies the records manager as that FOIA officer. And of course, we would still work our same system. The county attorney's office would be a big help in producing and helping put together the documents, but our records manager would be named as a FOIA officer. And then I would like to work with the board, and we'll actually have a real identified FOIA officer in the near term. So,
Questions for Mr. McLaren?
Yes. So, one, I'm all for and been fully supportive of us getting a communications officer that would be responsible for FOIA. We did discuss when we were looking at that reporting structure, especially relative to items such as FOIA. And the reason I bring that up is for board structure, it matters, I guess, to some degree as to where FOIA responses should lie. So we only have 2 reports. And FOIA responses either lie on one or the other. Are we switching where we think FOIA responses should lie?
I think initial queries, yes. In the interim, just Supervisor Underwood, to answer your question from a structure standpoint,
Yes.
the records manager does report to the county administrator.
Okay, then does that mean that who will ultimately be accountable for our FOIA response then?
Officially, it would be the records manager.
Okay, so if it's officially responsible by a report of the county administrator, does that mean from a board perspective, the accountability lies now under the county administrator?
Yes, in the interim solution, Supervisor Underwood, that would be my position on that.
Okay, I support it for assuming that it's, and I'm figuring it's legal, that we've had people look at it and it all makes sense. If that's the case for interim, I support it because I trust you and staff to do what we need to relative to internal structure. I do think strategically, we need to think about the alignment relative to that.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Bennett's there right beside you. If he has any comments, I would like to hear those too. So,
FOIA has become, as you know, it's a space unto itself and requires a lot of study, a lot of thought, and updating continually. Issues present themselves on a regular basis, and you have to be tuned into the whole network to get answers to those. That's, in my view, that's not something that the county attorney's office should be expending its resources to do, because it requires quite a bit of resources and time and to obtain the documents, compile them, verify that you have what you need, and then draft a response. And in my view, the manager of the records, we've already set up a program for initial training, and we're going to see to that very quickly. But to have essentially a FOIA expert on the county staff that can do all the work that's required to put together the response, and don't have that responsibility put on the county attorney's office, because it's not purely a legal matter. There's a lot of legwork involved. But if there are legal questions, we will work together, of course.
And yes, so the structure of our local government, what falls under the county attorney's office or under the county attorney versus the county administrator, once again, is one member, likely is best when based upon the strengths and weaknesses of the individuals holding those offices, absent some statutory requirements at the state level. There are, as far as I know, some county attorneys that not only have FOIA responsibility, but have economic development and some other components. We have historically not been structured that way. But if I look at how FOIA interacts, FOIA is sometimes tied to potential litigation. And FOIA is frequently tied to processes that are very dependent upon state code. And so long-term, it, depending on who we have, it may make sense to have that under the county attorney or not. As we are right now, if you and Sam say it's best under Sam, I'm saying hallelujah, because let's just get us through what we can get through. Let's go that way.
You have to have one, and this is,
Yes.
in my view, a good interim solution.
All for it.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion on the resolution?
Let's do it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. We're going to move into committee reports. Public Works Committee, Supervisor Underwood.
Yes, sir. The committee brings forward a motion recommending raising the tipping fees to $74 with regard to the transfer station operations and associated costs.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion?
Just a question, is that high enough? We're still in the hole.
That's a very good question, and if you don't mind, I may take it, Paul, and then go. So what we looked at it, and the question is, when do we raise transfer fees? So do we move it with the annual budget or not? And so in reality, we're trying to do a 6-month increase and then move with the annual budget. So we're not saying it's high enough now. We're saying that we want to do it and then adjust our calendar. So unfortunately, this board, late this year or early next year, will be seeing another motion for an increase as we adjust to our fiscal year cycle.
And that'll probably tie in with maybe rebidding or looking at the contract that we're under at the present time.
I'll leave that to Paul.
Yes, we can look at rebidding it, and the market right now is not favorable, but we can rebid it at any time. We can also look at changing how we do some of our tipping fee structures as well to try to cover some of that shortfall. But yeah, we're gonna look at all those options.
Mr. McLaren?
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to echo what Mr. Supervisor Underwood brought up. That was brought up during discussion with the Public Works Committee, and I think it's entirely appropriate to do it with other fees and through that budget cycle that the board enjoys, because when we post and advertise the budget, it would be nice to have some fees that are going to come along with that budget. And that, to me, only makes sense from an annual cycle review, hopefully moving forward. But it's, in the meantime, there's still an issue to correct, and I'm glad the Public Works Committee is recommending this.
I agree with all that. I just note that's technically a correct use of the word enjoys, but not the way that I would normally go with it.
Supervisor Underwood, you took the words from my mouth. Other questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Building and Grounds Committee, Supervisor Lee.
Mr. Chairman, the committee brings forward, without a recommendation, a fee proposal from Mosley Architects for next steps in the courthouse planning process.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Howard can help here too if we need to. What we've posted on board docs is that proposal. This is something that was discussed as Mr. Lee indicated with the Buildings and Grounds Committee. This is something that is coming forward, as you noted, as was noted on board docs too, without a recommendation, but it is before the entire board this morning. The proposal that you see that's posted would basically be the second step behind the study that the county just completed that was also posted on board docs earlier this year. This would be the next phase for refining plans, looking at certain concepts, refining concepts. Any type of courthouse renovation expansion project, as the board knows, is going to be very significant for the county and the town if we choose to stay in town. And that's something that this contract or this proposal would help the county move forward with those next steps. I did want to take a moment too to remind the board that we do not have this specifically budgeted for this particular fee that would come along with this next phase in the study. it was something that we could look at of course, we'll work with Ms. Lamb and the finance director, and we'll look where to move forward with that from the board's general fund, but that's where we would have to go with this, as it's not specifically articulated in any current budget as of FY26.
Thank you. Questions? Mr. Bates?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to highlight too that I think in the past we have discussed the location of the jail, of the courthouse, and had the votes to keep this in the town limits. And with the purchases that the county has made to support that, I would make the motion that we approve moving forward with the Mosley, the next step.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Mr. Chairman, I'd second that motion. I'd also like to point out that currently our courthouse operations are both inefficient and there are numerous security concerns on a daily basis at our courthouse, and those concerns and the space concerns have been brought to us over and over and over again. So in my mind, delaying moving forward with this process is really not acceptable. We are currently at around roughly 50% short on space. That leads to a daily backlog of both civil and criminal cases that need to be heard. We also have repeatedly security concerns, in particular when inmates that are being brought in are mingling with the public as they're taken to their holding areas for trial. And I think in any situation for any county's courthouse, that's just not acceptable. So I wholeheartedly second the motion to move forward with the fee proposal.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? Mr. Rosenberger?
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman. I'm well aware that the board has made the decision a long time ago to try to stay downtown, but I think that as we move forward with this, and I think we should move forward and start this study, but we're talking about a courthouse renovation and expansion, but we also talking at some point in time parking and possibility of parking garages. So I mean, for the board not to at some point in time explore the possibility of a new courthouse on land owned by the county, which I don't know that it would be as expensive to build as it is going to be to renovate and expand this. The other thing I think is key here is that the expansion and what they may come up with is going to key largely on whether the town agrees with some of the things that have to be done. I've heard about the possibility of closing streets and that sort of thing, but price tag in the $110 million range, I'm not so sure you couldn't build a courthouse out on 50 acres that the county owns adjacent to the town with water and sewer right nearby a lot cheaper and not have to look at parking garages and those sorts of things. So I think that ultimately we need to move forward, but I think we need to study all options before we pull the trigger on this, and I think we got a little time to do that.
Look, Mr. Underwood.
I think Supervisor Rosenberger brings up some very good points, and so I would love some clarification as to this study and if it is done in concert with what Mr. Rosenberger is requesting. So is this study do we want to do this study before we look at other locations, or do we do this study after we look at other locations? Do we want to look at it before we consider town input or after we consider town input? And if the answer for both of those is this study is right to be done before so, I would love to understand that.
Mr. Howard, would you be able to answer some of those questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. During the space planning process, the first part of the study, one of the decisions there was, are we going to go downtown or out of town? And the code right now requires that if you're going to go out of town, that you would have to have a referendum if it's not contiguous to the existing facility. And so that would be the biggest hurdle to moving anything out of town, would be passing a referendum. And historically in Virginia, I think they mentioned it, Mosley mentioned it during our initial study process, that I don't think any of those have passed. There's 99% or something like that. None of those have passed. So at the space planning stage, the consensus was to stay downtown. We did include the town in those discussions, so they are aware of the parking needs. They are aware of the request to close Cameron Street. We were working with them. We were also working with their zoning staff as they're amending some of their zoning ordinances to allow a 3-story versus 4-story structure downtown. So they have been included in that process through the space planning, and they would continue to be included as this goes forward because they're an integral part of whatever we do out there. So those are the two, I guess, best answers I have for now. But that's where we are. This part of the study would survey the area, the utilities, property boundaries, find out any easements are out there, provide some more refined space allocations within the building. Would we include or incorporate any part of the jail, or how would we service the jail to the courthouse? So this would get you the information you would need for the next step, which would be to move forward with the design of it. And you were correct on the price tag. That's a rough estimate of where we are right now.
Well, I think it's good that they're being kept involved, but I would encourage them to start maybe giving us a little input as we move through this process instead of waiting until we get to a point of maybe no return if it goes that far, and then all of a sudden have a bunch of problems.
That's kind of my question. Are we at, quote, a point of no return here relative to those two questions? Meaning, would we only do this study if we're committed to the courthouse being where it is now? And therefore, does that mean we'd only do the study going in eyes wide open, knowing 110 million and we need a parking garage? Or is there a way we could be doing this study that makes sense if we don't have those two commitments?
Mr. Underwood, I would suggest that you have to do this study to get half of the equation. You could expand the study if you want to include evaluating the downtown option, which we presented now, and add an out-of-town option with the referendum hurdle in there and compare the cost of those two. But I think you would want to include both the answers for both those questions to make that decision.
So, go ahead.
Do you need a break, Mr. Underwood? Mr. Chairman, I would just like to say that just want to remind everybody, especially since I'm a supervisor for the town, as Mr. Lee is too, and several other supervisors have town areas as well, that Culpeper, the town of Culpeper, is the major village center for the county. So we should always support the town of Culpeper. And if we take and move the courthouse 5 or 8 miles away, out in the rural area of the county, basically, we're not going to be supporting the town. We're not going to continue supporting restaurants, office space. My district will be damaged, in my opinion, because I think it's going to hurt the town businesses. I think it's going, I don't think we're going to be supporting them like we should. And I think it's going to be important for Culpeper to carry on and to keep growing, because a lot of the business for lunches, breakfasts, even dinners, people that are affiliated with the courthouse, they walk to different restaurants, they shop on Davis Street. It's working. I would not like to see us change that aspect of the community.
Other comments? Ms. Gugino?
Yes. In terms of moving the courthouse out of the town, of course, the referendum is one of the big roadblocks, but also agreeing with Supervisor Deal, there's additional things that if we would move it out into the county that would have to be addressed, and especially the transportation. The road that 50 acres is on would need to have additional decel lanes, left turn lanes, a lot of new infrastructure on the roadways that lead to that from town and from wherever the jail facility is going to be. So I think we need to make sure that if we do go forward and analyze both, that we would make sure that those type of items are included in that study. Also, and we're not going to get to it until we get to the Public Safety Committee, I have concerns keeping the courthouse and the county jail separate. I feel like at some point we could unintentionally divert away from both of them being a cohesive set. I think we need to work towards, and since Mosley's on both, being utilized for both, that we ensure that that connectivity is there, because I would hate to have that disparity between the two because they are so supportive of each other, to do something, a sole criminal justice plan rather than courthouse, jail, administrative offices, that kind of thing.
Mr. Chairman, I don't
Mr.
want to
Rosen.
belabor this meeting or make it any longer, and I'm not advocating moving out of town. I think we've made that position known, but I think from a fiscal responsibility standpoint, that we need to look at options, because if it's depending on what it is, we've got to look at what's in the best interest of the county taxpayers as far as where we move forward with this. So I'm just saying, look at your options here. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Underwood.
Could not agree more with Supervisor Rosenberger. I'm, once again, not advocating for moving out of town. I am for the board studying and knowing, deliberating. This is, between the courthouse and the jail, the numbers, not 110 is the courthouse component. It's well north of $200 million. So if we're making a decision today for something that we moved 2 years out, 91 days ago. That's quick. I mean, we literally went from fiscal 28 to fiscal 30. We don't have money for this in our fiscal 26, our current year budget. Yet somehow we need to make this decision right now to do it. I don't quite get it, and I support a new courthouse. I mean, I really do. I support studying it, understanding it. I agree with Mr. Deal that the best location is very likely downtown, but I would like to know more and learn more, and I think we may have that time.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to just remind respectfully Mr. Rosenberger's point about the best interests of the taxpayers in the county. I'd just like to remind him that town residents pay county taxes and town taxes. And if businesses are damaged and restaurants are damaged in town, and the town starts losing that revenue that's coming in, that's going to increase the town taxes even more for the people living in the town. So therefore, I mean, it's best interest of the county residents, but it's got to be in the best interest of the county and the town residents together.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
Mr. Chairman,
Rosenberg.
I'm not advocating moving out of town, number one. Number two, we all know that the town residents pay county taxes. They are county residents.
Right.
They just happen to pay double taxes because they're living in town.
Right.
That's a choice that they make.
Unfortunately.
But there's nobody here that doesn't realize that they pay county taxes, and they are county citizens.
Right. But what I'm saying is, if that revenue is impacted with the courthouse being moved out in the county, and that revenue doesn't keep coming in for the town, for restaurants, for businesses that are affiliated with courthouse, then it's potentially could raise the town taxes, and it's, that's not in the best interest of the town citizens. So, thank you.
Mr. Bates, did you?
Mr. Chairman, I know we're talking some really big numbers when we're talking about a courthouse, but keep in mind, we also have jail needs, and that's coming up here in a little bit, but, it has been brought to my attention that based off of a community-based needs assessment, that the state will reimburse the localities up to 25%, whether it be a courthouse, a jail, or an associated parking garage that would facilitate parking for the courthouse. And I couldn't agree more with Mr. Rosenberger that we're not in a position right now that we can swing it. But, you know, as time passes, if you look around what's going on with what we hope to be a very lucrative tax base through the data centers, that they're actively clearing land and moving with the, you know, putting them up. So I think we need to keep the 25% segment from the state reimbursement in the equation as we discuss this. But I do think that, you know, prolonging some of these studies, and as long as that, you know, the length of time that it takes to get the infrastructure with the town moved and closing streets and what have you, that's not going to happen overnight. And if we keep kicking the can down the road, it's not ever going to happen. So,
If I may jump in here with what I want to consider sort of a summary of where I think we are. Several months ago, as the discussion of the courthouse came up, and when we initially started talking about that, and when I say initially, I'm going to say in the latest round of talking about it, I understand this board has discussed the courthouse numerous times over many, many years. But one of the first things that came out of Public Works and came to this board was a motion to keep the courthouse in the town of Culpeper. And that was approved.
No, sir, not out of Public Works. It may have come, but it didn't come out of Public Works.
Excuse me, Mr. Underwood, you are correct. Out of buildings and grounds.
Okay.
It did.
Excuse me. I misspoke there. But a motion came before this board to keep the courthouse in town and to move forward with trying to understand what it would take to make that happen. We engaged Mosley. Mosley put together a study that looked at the needs of the courthouse, what we would need looking out maybe 40 or 50 years in the future. We invested some money in that study. We took that to the next step, and we've purchased considerable real estate in town adjacent to the current courthouse where we could expand this facility. And these are not things, the real estate does not lose its value. Having that real estate doesn't dictate that we have to go there. But we have invested some time and some treasure into this courthouse staying here in Culpeper. I have no issue looking at some other alternatives. It's always good to do that. But one of the things that I do have a concern about is kind of paralysis by study. We need to move forward with where we are going with our courthouse. We're not going to begin building a courthouse next year. It is not in the budget. It's not in the plans. It couldn't happen if we said we wanted to do it. But it would seem to me that this next step in this proposal is just a further refinement of the study that was done 4 months ago, a year ago, I'm not exactly sure, but recently by Mosley, that can further solidify whether or not we want to make this decision. And I believe it's important that we continue to move this process forward. Mr. Deal.
Mr. Chairman, I agree with you. I think we should move it forward, but, you know, and I brought it up before, I'm all for building a new courthouse and potentially even a new jail. And we're going to have the funds coming in, I believe, in the next 4 to 5 years to do that. But for me, I would just like to see us operate more as a business. And if I own a business and I don't have the revenue coming in to pay for a large expense, then I'm going to defer, or I'm going to wait until I can comfortably go forward with a project where I can build it. And build it with no stress on the business or very little stress on the business. So, you know, when we appropriated the $112 or $15 million for the schools, we're going to barely be able to get by in the next couple of years without raising the taxes. Or we may have to raise the taxes a penny or two to get by. If we appropriate money for a courthouse and a jail, it's going to go from, could be between $200 and $400 million, especially if you're talking about a parking garage, et cetera, or any project, even if it's in the county. It's going to be over $200 million probably. Then we're going to, the business, in this case, who's going to suffer is not the owners, but it's going to be the taxpayers. It's going to be the burden on them. Why, and at the same time, if we wait and just defer out a year or 18 months before we start planning to appropriate money and appropriate the money for the project in 2029 and start construction in 2030. And, we already have one data center that's under roof and probably ready to start operations as far as Amazon is concerned. Hopefully that will bring in, I don't know, $8 million a year, hopefully, maybe 10, maybe 6, I don't know. That will carry at least half the debt load or more. And as Mr. Underwood was stating earlier, the new project is breaking ground on the Route 3, Route 29 interchange. I think that may even be a larger complex, which may bring in 10, 12, $15 million per year. We will be in good shape to build what we want to build at that time if we just pause for a year, 18 months. So that's kind of where I stand. I want to share that.
Mr. Bates?
But just to be clear, there's no shelf life on this study that we're doing, unlike a community-based needs study, which is a year shelf life. So this is not money, that's, if we do it and, if we postpone it a year or whatever, this study is still good.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Bennett?
I wanted to interject another factor into this discussion. And that is, as I mentioned before, and there's some debate about this, but ultimately the circuit court judge has control of this project, subject to certain state limitations. And it's sort of an appeal process for the county to go to the state if the county disagrees with what the judge wants. So in the Mosley proposal, they said that they would be talking with the judges as one of the parties they're interviewing. If the county is working with the town, there's sort of a partnership there. There's got to be a third leg, and that's the circuit court judge. Because at the end of the day, he's got to sign off on everything, and he has the authority to dictate the timeline also. Unfortunately, I watched this play out in Madison County years ago when there was a disagreement between the board and David Berry, the circuit court judge at the time, and he had the board appear before him in open court, and it got almost to the point that he was going to enter an order to tell the board what to do. That didn't happen. They worked it out. That's all good. Once they started talking and worked together on the project. So I would emphasize that the circuit court judge needs to be involved in this process more. And one thing now that the judge has said, I think 3 or 4 times, and that is, I'm a patient person, but my patience is not infinite. And he feels very concerned about the security issues in the courthouse and the jail, not only for the citizens, but staff and the judges. So his perspective is sooner rather than later.
So I believe the Mosley study, as it has progressed so far, has spoken with the circuit court judge and the other judges that are presiding in the courthouse about what their needs are. And that's a very positive thing, and we need to do that. I've noticed that Judge Durr has taken a seat here in the audience. Your Honor, would you like to address the board?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Bennett, members of the board. It is good to be with you. I am happy to answer any questions that you have about the current state of the courthouse. But what I'm really here to tell you is how it's operating today and how I predict it will continue to operate in the future. Recent changes by the legislature have caused an increase in the number of jury trials that are conducted in the Culpeper County Circuit Court and other circuit courts. There has been a change in the bifurcated sentencing process that many of us knew from the 1990s. So there's been a marked increase in the number of jury trials that are conducted in the Culpeper County Circuit Court. And that's a policy determination that the legislature gets to make. But I often make the joke with jurors that parking isn't a problem around here because there isn't any. And you're sort of left with people trying to find places to park 3-hour lots and ultimately move their car at a break. And the temperature in the circuit courtroom can vary from 50 degrees to 90 degrees. We've had mold issues that have somewhat been solved. We've had security issues with bollards and other construction issues. I don't want to get too much into detail about my security concerns for obvious reasons, but it is, in my view, a system under stress. And the latest statistics indicate that our criminal docket in Culpeper this year, last year, and in 2023 is greater than Albemarle County, the city of Charlottesville, and Fluvanna County combined. And I see that trend continuing for any number of reasons. So you've got a building that is a certain amount of space and that can hold a certain amount of people, and you have more demands on it that are increasing at almost an exponential rate. And so something is going to have to change. How it changes, I don't know. But the system as it currently stands cannot sustain itself. I've taken up enough of your time. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have or engage in any kind of conversation with you. But those are my thoughts, and I'm happy to defer to you all.
Thank you, Judge Durr. Are there any questions? Thank you very
All
much.
right, I appreciate your time. Thank you all very much.
Is there further discussion? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just to kind of talk about what Supervisor Bates and Supervisor Durr were addressing. The fact of the matter is that we put a date of 2030, and there are so many different things that we have to check off the list until then. We can't say that we want to start construction in 2030 when we start having funds available from technology revenue. We can't sit there and say, okay, that's when we're going to start these studies. We need to make sure that we have all of those steps in place, and it does take 2-4 years to get a lot of this done. They said that you wouldn't be starting construction until you start official design 2 years later. So we need to do this upfront work to get us to a point that in 2028, we can say, yes, start the design because we want to start construction in 2030 because we have 9 data centers online and we'll have enough funds to do so. So, and that is how most of us as business owners, we plan for that. You got to do that upfront work before you can say, I want to move into my house in December, and you don't pull your permit until December. Like, you got to do that upfront work. So I feel that moving forward with this study sets us up for the most amount of control to be able to pull the trigger when we are fiscally able to pull the trigger.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Deal.
I just want to make sure I'm communicating effectively too. And I agree with Supervisor Gugino from that aspect. I support the study. It's just the timing of appropriating the money going forward. You know, whether we appropriate it in 2 years or 3 years, I'd rather see it closer to 2028 or so before we get to that point, just to give the technology a chance to catch up as far as the revenue is concerned. So, yeah, as far as the study, I support the study.
Mr. Bates, for a point of clarification, your motion was to engage Mosley for this study?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Mr. Underwood.
I would note that your comment about real estate being a good investment, the courthouse that was authorized by a prior Culpeper County board in 1870 was approved and completed by 1873. The aggregate cost was $18,700. This study cost more than the prior courthouse, but I would also note that the way they did it back then is they consulted with the judge, declared the courthouse dilapidated, and auctioned it off. Bought a new piece, or had a new piece of land, and built the courthouse for $18,700, excluding the land acquisition. Thanks.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried 6-1. Next order of business, the Rules Committee. Ms. Gugino.
Chairman, the committee brings forward a motion recommending options 2, 3, 4, and 5 as potential amendments to the zoning ordinance and policies of utility-scale solar facilities. And this would be to refer to the Planning Commission for review, public hearing, and recommendation.
Mr. Bates? Was there a second? Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in, Mr.
I'm
McLaren?
sorry, I hate to do this.
We're moving quick here.
Yeah, I know, and I apologize. I just want to make sure that the direction to the planning commission, that the rules committee and now the board is okay with it not being necessarily fully set in stone, but there's kind of 4 high-level areas to work within. What's comes back to you could be any myriad of potential code changes or policy changes, but there are some 4, I guess I would say, umbrella issues, maybe more, but there's at least 4 that have been mentioned.
Yes.
But just so you know that the Rules Committee, there was nothing specific as far as code amendment. So referring the Planning Commission to work on it, certainly a prerogative of the board, and they can do that, but I just wanted to know that the board to know that there's not a specific something moving forward for the Planning Commission to review. Perhaps you get something specific back to entertain. So.
And I think to go on to this and clarify a little bit is the fact of, based on the state's all of the ones that have been already approved and already built in the state, there has been significant issues with respect to DEQ violations and the such, and siting arrangements and impacts to the surrounding communities. So these 4 options provide some additions that we can do to further ensure the safety welfare of our citizens, to include requiring being further along in the process for stormwater management, looking at some of these other categorizations, smaller scale facilities that may be more towards a by right when it's used for individual uses, and just ensuring that we have a good working ordinance and policy to ensure that when solar comes to us in whatever shape and form, that it is going to be utilized in the best fashion for the citizens of Culpeper and the landowners that it goes on to. So being vague kind of was opening up for more work sessions, whether they're planning commission, joint, however that wants to work, we can get them going as well in conjunction. But to ensure that we take another look at this based on what the experiences have been across the state.
I guess just a question. One, I'm likely supportive. I'm just trying to understand a little bit what we're doing. So I get that. Are we also, didn't we mention a month or 2 ago about requiring industrial zoning for solar? Is that part of it also?
That could be another aspect that's looked at to determine whether or not that is where the county wants to go and what the pros and cons of that are. It's up to the Planning Commission to take another deep dive into this to determine if there's lessons learned from other localities that we can implement.
It sounds like a good plan to me.
Just to clarify, Supervisor Gugino, option 2, 3, 4, and 5, however, do not state changing they do not state that we would make a change that solar would be placed only in industrially zoned land, correct? Isn't that option number one? So the recommendation does not include that, is what I'm saying. The motion does not include option one.
From what the
Correct.
board's perspective of moving to the planning commission, the planning commission can at any time recommend that as well, but our recommendation to them is to look at those specific options. But I don't believe that they are prohibited to look at others that we have not provided to them.
How about could we amend it to have them also look at the appropriate zoning for industrial scale solar? Just to be clear?
I guess that is up to the committee making, the chairman of the committee, if you'd like to amend your motion.
Mr. Chairman, my concern with option one, when we were talking about this in rules, was if we had to go through and it would be up to future boards, if they rezone farmland into industrial property, and the current proposed lifespan, I guess, of these solar arrays is 30 to 35 years. In 35 years, if that technology's changed and they're obsolete, and now we're sitting here with the 500 acres of industrial property out in what was once farmland, surrounded by farmland. And I don't think that's a good solution. I don't like to think that, that one day we could have an abundance of industrial zone property out in the middle of what is farmland. So that was the reason I did not support bringing number one on.
So I don't hear a motion being amended. We have a motion on the floor. Is there further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. E911 Board of Directors meeting. Mr. Lee.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Sorry. The committee brings forward a request to use funds from the E911 fund balance to replace failing air conditioning units.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Public Safety Committee, Mr. Bates.
Mr. Chairman, the committee brings forward a recommendation to adopt the area average revenue recovery rates wherein EMS agencies bill insurance providers for services rendered during patient transport and treatment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Further business, Mr. Bates?
Mr. Chairman, item B here, the committee brings forward a recommendation to have Mosley Architects provide a cost analysis for potential county jail renovation, as well as cost analysis for potential new construction. And Mr. Chairman, in light of information that was recently received, and I don't know that Mosley would be the one that would be able to carry us through on looking at the cost of a new jail or regional approach, which also leads me to the discussions that Supervisor Deal and myself have kind of championed the idea of trying to use Coffeewood, a vacant state facility that's been vacant for over 10 years, as a local jail. We have had numerous meetings. We've had numerous site visits. We've actually allocated money in the budget to make structural repairs to the property. As time has passed, we found that there's a huge difference between a jail and a prison. And the Department of Corrections has guidelines that would require major renovations to the facility to accommodate a jail. Not to mention that we are not having a lot of luck with the state, getting the state to put pen to paper to sign off on it. The county has expended funds on having a survey done or completed to satisfy the state's requirements. And as we found this year, at the last minute, it didn't get a signature from the General Assembly, didn't approve it. So here we are again, back to step one. I think it would be a wise decision for this board, and I know it's a lot of work and time and effort has gone into this, but if this isn't going to work, we need to take it off the table and focus on either a regional facility or building our own jail. And with the recommendation from public safety when it comes to a cost analysis, if Mosley can't do it, we need to direct staff to look at the regional approach or cost of a new jail. But I would like to have the board, you know, if they feel that's the thing to do, to take Coffeewood off the table where we can have two ideas to focus.
I guess as a point of
There's a,
clarification.
there's a motion.
I was hoping, that's why I wanted to clarify before we get a second. I guess as a point of clarification, is the chairman of public safety asking that his motion die without a second?
I would say yes.
Okay, thank you.
So we have a motion, there is no second, that motion is off the table?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm confused, please. Why are we letting the motion die? I don't understand that.
From information that was received recently from a representative from Mosley Architects, that is not in their scope of work when it comes to talking
Oh,
about
okay.
the cost of renovations to a facility or joining a regional jail, that's not something they would do.
Right. So do we want to, but Mosley could provide the information for the cost analysis for renovation of our current jail, correct?
Or construction of a new one.
Because both are included in item B.
I guess if I could, well,
Because we do need
If I could amend
information
the
on,
motion.
on renovation of the current jail, and we also need information with regards to new construction, do we not?
well, again, Mosley would not be the one that would, I don't think, is the one that could take us to the, is that right, Sam, with the new jail?
Mr. Chairman, this is a
Yes.
multi-layered issue.
Yes, it is.
We're learning.
Yes, and it's
and,
growing as we speak.
Yeah, and that's okay. I commend the board for discussing this issue. It's very important, and it's going to take some time to work through. Mosley can certainly provide help in that arena. Can they give us the direction of what a regional jail buy-in is going to cost? No, probably not. That's a result of agreements, working with an existing regional jail, forming a new regional jail, figuring out what those agreements look like. Chairman Bates, to your point, as far as what public safety was considering, we were thinking, you know, that particular the discussion that they could do that potentially. What they could do, if we engaged them in that way, or we sought to engage them in that way, is they could help us figuring out to do with our current local facility, or ideas for that facility. As it wraps into with a courthouse, maybe not a courthouse, that we have an existing aging facility, as we recognize, that has many multitude of things that needs to be worked on. Mosley could help with that part of it.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would like to amend the motion and have Mosley Architects provide a cost analysis for potential county jail renovation as it stands. And that would be the extent of the motion. And then I would like to have us make a decision on Coffeewood, but,
Perhaps renovation and potential expansion?
yes.
Okay, so Mosley would look at the current jail for renovation and potential expansion.
Correct.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion?
I just, real quick, I'm
Yes.
not going to support it, even though I'll help clarify it. Thanks.
Mr. Bennett?
Wouldn't a part of this whole discussion be potential integration of the courthouse and jail facility? Would that be included in the motion?
I believe that would be why Mosley would be doing this, as he is working on the other studies.
Mr. Chairman, to answer Mr. Bennett's question, I see it as kind of like an addendum to that study that the board just approved.
Further discussion? Questions? Okay, we have a motion on, Mr. Deal, were you?
I was just going to say, Mr. Chairman, just the timing of it again, where I think the courthouse expansion is more of a priority. Jail is a priority too, but the timing, I still think it needs to be deferred for a year. So I'm not going to be able to support this.
Any other discussion? Mr. Underwood?
Further brief discussion, I think it would be worthwhile for, I don't know if it's board level or public safety level, but what Supervisor Bates was talking about of saying, is coffee wood off the table or is it not? It appears that those at the state have delineated clearly between prisons versus jails in a way that we did not anticipate. And for whatever reason that occurred, that likely has changed the reality. So perhaps we can, I don't want to acknowledge it, but sometimes you got to do what you don't want to do. And
I would agree, but let's answer this first question. I think we need to do that and then come back and revisit Coffeewood.
okay, the reason that I was commenting about it relative to the jail study is in order to do a jail study, there were three alternatives. Regional, well, I guess four here. You could have renovate and expand, build a new, join a regional, or do Coffeewood. At least during my time, that's what we've been talking about. I would prefer that we take enough information and pick a course among those four, then go do a study of the four. Once again, picking one of the four seems a little bit a cart before the horse, so that's why I'm not going to support the motion.
Mr. Chairman, to Mr. Underwood's comment, when we talk of the existing jail, I don't think that we have enough, from what I've been told, there's height restrictions. We don't have a large enough footprint to expand that jail to accommodate what Mosley was recommending of a 400 to a 450 bed facility. The renovations to that jail that we currently have would essentially be to accommodate what they would call a holding facility for the new courthouse. I don't think that we would be able to put a full jail there. Instead of raising the building, we would renovate the building that would house 72, whether it be work release inmates or those waiting for a court appearance. And I think that discussion that we've had with Mosley would have to have where you could have the transition from the jail to the courthouse is going to be extremely important when we talk about security. And that's why I think that conversation needs to move. So that would take it back to the three of the four that you had mentioned, whether it's Coffeewood or regional approach or build a new jail. And again, I don't want to see us waste staff's time or taxpayer money on any more studies with Coffeewood if the way things have been going. I just don't see it happening. So I'd like to see if that's taken off the table. We direct staff to maybe look at a regional approach or a new jail.
I'm sorry, Mr. Underwood.
Go ahead, Mr. Lee.
Well, I just want to remind everybody that, number one, our jail is in dire need of renovations. We have all seen that. The motion is for a study to provide a cost analysis for potential jail renovations, period. So I think we can approve that. Once we get the information back, we can debate further what direction to take.
Well, this is done in light of, one, Supervisor Bates has convinced me to change my vote. I'm going to be supporting the motion because he clarified that this is not looking at the alternatives for long-term jail facility, that this is looking at near-term what is needed relative to the existing jail renovations with the eye towards potential in the near term for holding for courthouse, et cetera. That seems practical and pragmatic. We do need to get to the other, but now that I know we're looking at the current, let's do it.
Well, I think, then, Mr.
Mr.
Chairman,
Deal.
I think that motion needs to be clarified a little bit more then. If we could have a separate or a little bit of clarification on that.
Mr. Bates, would you state the motion again?
I would like to make the motion that we recommend Mosley Architects provide a cost analysis for potential county jail renovation. And that is a current county jail renovation.
And potential
And that would-
expansion.
and that would-
potential expansion.
And that would work be synonymous with
The
potential,
courthouse.
potentially a regional authority approach too.
No,
Well, no, because Mosley does not,
No.
they cannot do that.
Mosley does not
Okay,
want,
all right.
But it could or could not be. So this isn't
Yes,
commenting on
yes,
that.
Yes, okay, I got it.
okay, everyone clear? Any- Oh, I thought you had a question. We have a motion on the floor. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Mr. Bates.
Mr. Chairman, at this point, I would like to make a motion that we instruct staff to look into the cost analysis for a regional approach for building our own local jail and abandon the Coffeewood Correctional Center as an option for future jail.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Discussion. Mr.
Yeah,
Deal.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure why we would abandon Coffeewood. I mean, we're not going to be spending any more money or focusing any more attention, so it's kind of just going away by itself. Not sure why we need to make a resolution to abandon something that's just going away. I don't understand that, but
Mr. McLaren?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to remind the board, and Supervisor Deal, I understand that point. I just want to, there is a fiscal side to this. The board has appropriated funds, in my mind, that are sitting on the sidelines that have been earmarked for Coffeewood.
oh, okay, that's right.
And they're significant, and they can help us with these capital projects. If the direction from the board is to pivot away from Coffeewood, we need those funds today.
That needs to be in the motion then. That would have made it a little bit clearer to me.
Well, Mr. Chairman, also to bring up, I think that it would be only right that we inform Page County, who, we had sent a memorandum of understanding that we were going to be a partner in this, that we're not going to continue pursuing this idea.
So would we have a motion to discontinue activity on Coffeewood, notify Page County of our intent to do that, notify the state of Virginia of our intent, and free up staff to reallocate the capital money that is associated with that?
While looking at the cost analysis for a regional approach or building a new jail.
Ms. Ellis, do you have all that?
All I'd say with all that, I somewhat appreciate, I'm all for moving efficiently. I also like having an agenda, and I like things being ripe for discussion. So I don't disagree in principle with where we're going. In fact, it likely is where we need to go. I think for public safety, and I know they've discussed it, even if I am a member, I don't attend the meetings, but I don't think I'm a member. But either way, for us to have brief discussions with Paige, to say we're looking at doing this, for us to have discussions with DOC or whomever, to figure out the specifics relative to the budget implications and be ready and then to maybe better identify staff or who would be looking at the alternatives, because you do have to negotiate or at least make some inquiries relative to regional alternatives. Perhaps the legwork, one more public safety meeting, and it doesn't need, Public Works used to meet quarterly, we changed that, it can change. So getting a little better prepared may help us. So I'm all for it, it's just maybe a little bit of legwork would help.
Well, I would say that, sure, abandon the idea of spending more money and transitioning the money over to where it needs to be, like the county administrator was saying, but you never know what's going to happen in the future where things could change along the line, something could come up. I'm not sure I'm, supportive of just abandoning the idea to where if something was to come in the future, we couldn't revisit the situation as long as we don't spend any money. But
Maybe I would like to rescind the motion until we get this, we'll take it to maybe next month's agenda, and bring it back and have it a little more refined on the motion.
You want to take this back to public safety, or where do you want to go with this?
The next public safety meeting would be October, is that right?
It would seem to me that we need to move forward on this, and that this, I understand the agenda and keeping things tight with the agenda, but I believe this comes under item B on the agenda here. It sort of fits together with where we are, and the need to move forward with having staff put information together where we can look at this and begin to make some decisions. That would be my thought.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry to interrupt. I agree with your observation, and I would like for Mr. Bates to re-enter the previous motion instead of that. I don't see any need for us to rescind the motion and wait on this. I think as stated in the motion, the work can be done as it's stated. And I think waiting just further delays information that we need to have. So with respect to my colleague, Supervisor Underwood, I disagree that this needs to go back to public safety or any of our other committees.
I'm not trying to delay things. If the Public Safety Committee doesn't have a scheduled meeting and doesn't want to meet, you can always schedule one, but if they don't want to between now and the next meeting, it could come back to the board next time with all the information. It's just, to me, to pass a motion without communicating with a partner prior to doing so having a conversation with Paige, even though we're doing it right now, it may be worthwhile to say, hey, guys, or guys, ladies, whatever, I'm not trying to slow things down. I don't think we're going to change the timing almost by anything. I'm just trying to communicate effectively with those we were going a particular strategy with and have it maybe at our September meeting.
So this would push this onto the agenda of the September meeting. We would have some conversations with Page County. Are we agreeable there? Mr. Lee?
Do not agree, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we have no action. We are not moving forward with.
I'd like to move this forward to September.
We are moving this to September. There is no action being taken today.
Yes.
And we have, I'm losing track of where I am. We have approved Mosley's,
I rescinded the
yes, we have approved Mosley working on the current jail.
So, Mr. Chairman, to clarify then, at the September meeting, we will be discussing.
Exactly what we have just talked about for the last 10 or 15 minutes.
Gotcha. All right.
And making a decision.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'll work with the board and we will enter a new, well, I guess it'd be a hybrid, old/new business item. And we'll discuss that next month, so.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. McLaren. Moving on, our Economic Developer Director's Monthly Report. Mr. Rothermel.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. I know you've had some complicated conversations here this morning. I'm going to try to keep it easy with the annual report. However, we do have a few more things besides the annual report to discuss. We released our FY 2025 annual report today, titled Growing. We want to do this every year. This is not something we have done previously. The theme of growing is to show the initiatives from the department are at various stages of development. And these stages of development are more like how I view where we are in their progression. Flourishing does not mean complete or done. Flourishing means we have taken this one as far as we can at this moment. We're doing exactly as we envision. Some things we will get there. We are going, but you can see along the bottom here, every page of the annual report has this. And then as you go through, the initiatives keep the color of where I view them to be. So these are the pages. These are some of the pages. You can view it online. I was hoping to have a printed copy for you. We sent it off to the printers at the end of July, and it has not been delivered yet. So when I get the hard copy, I will bring it and distribute it to the board members. Do you have any questions on that before I? Be a Culpeper Local Week is happening right now, August 2nd through the 10th. I hope everyone has been enjoying it so far. As of this, we had 59 participating. We're actually up to 68 participating, and I think about 60 specials and promotions are being offered. Same format as the previous years. If you utilize 5 local businesses that are participating, you can bring your completed punch card to the visitor center and get a t-shirt. As of Sunday, they had 58 t-shirts that they've already handed out. So 2 days in, and already 58 people had completed 5 purchases. You can view all the businesses that are participating on beaculpeperlocal.com/backle-week for more information. We also have photo raffles, so if you see people posting, make sure to like and share the photos. This is this year's t-shirt and the punch card. A quick update for you on the Stevensburg Brandy Station transit route that we had talked about late last year. We did submit for this for approval. We told you at the time it was probably a pretty long shot, but we got it. So we are hoping to start services in October. Just a quick note, County 1 and 2, those are our on-demand buses. There, we showed you last year when it came for approval that they were up significantly as of it was October last year. We're still seeing that progression. We were up 153 per month year over year for June. This hybrid route for the Stevensburg Brandy Station will allow bus 1s and 2 to serve more riders in the remainder of the county. So it's not cannibalizing the service. So this is how it goes. Just a quick reminder. It'll start in Stevensburg and it'll be there for 30 minutes. Picking up passengers that have requested. They'll be on call, so picking up passengers that request, bring people back to. We're actually be dropping off at the new parking lot, Heritage Park parking lot. We call that the hub, and then going back out to Brandy Station, doing that for 30 minutes and kind of doing this wishbone. It does connect to Virginia Breeze, which drops off in Culpeper at Brandy Station. So people that would like to take Virginia Breeze up and down 29. We'll have a bus route that'll take them to Brandy, get on Virginia Breeze, and as well get off Virginia Breeze, and a bus route that'll bring them back onto our system. The system in general, by the way, has had tremendous increase in ridership, which is good. That's more people in buses, less cars on the road. All right, my last update for you is the Culpeper Tech Zone. As was noted, we have a couple campus outside of the Tech Zone that is under construction and nearing completion of their first building. We have campus inside the Tech Zone that is under construction. We also have a substation inside the Tech Zone that is under construction. So things are progressing and moving forward. One thing that happened was Databank, that's the facility that's currently at Route 3 and 29 that's currently under construction. They had a house that they were tearing down as part of that. And it kind of a really cool community partnership. A big thing that I always stress to our businesses coming to Culpeper, it's great that you want to bring your business here. It's great that you want to employ local people. You want to pay tax revenue. We love that, but you have to be part of the community. If you want to be successful in Culpeper, you have to be part of the community. And the Tech Zone has really taken that to heart. We've seen them sponsor things like Airfest, some of our developers, but this one for Databank, they donated the building that they were tearing down so that the local fire and rescue could utilize it. I am not as knowledgeable as this as Mr. Perryman, as Chief Perryman, who participated in, who's here. But you can see some of the pictures, the blog post Databank put out, just a really cool free opportunity for our firefighters and rescue squad members to participate in.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much.
All right. think that was it.
Next item on the agenda is our county administrator's report. Mr. McLaren.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I will be brief. I did want to take this moment to introduce our two people. One that's not listed, but he should have been, and that's my fault. But we have the opportunity to hire two new directors, two different departments, one being Matt Komar. He is our new Director of Technology and Innovation. Matt's been serving as interim director for the past couple of months, but he is now our permanent Director of Technology and Innovation as we move forward. And Matt, if you wanted to stand up real quick so they know who you are. All right. Thank you.
IT never wants to stand up and receive.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
You want to say your phone number and email also while you're there?
And then, as many of you know, Bob Orr has retired from the building official's office. Bob served us faithfully for many years, and I wish him the best in retirement, and I think he's already enjoying some of that. But in his stead, we have hired Richard Grace, and Richard, I'm going to get you to stand up so they know who you are. Richard was our senior staff member in the building department, and he is now our designated building official for the county of Culpeper. And he's been busy at work because we have a lot going on. But I want to introduce Richard this morning as well. Thank you, Richard.
And you're welcome to reach out to me anytime you have questions or needs.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We have a motion for closed session.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we enter into closed meeting as permitted under Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A 1, 4, 7, and 8. 2, number 1,